G'day everyone, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today is Tuesday the 11th of December. Or is it 12th? No, it's the 11th. 2018, and the time here is 16:41 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Well folks, unless you've been living under a rock, and it's quite possible that you may have been, or unless you've decided to have Stockholm Syndrome or cognitive dissonance, then things have changed dramatically. It's interesting to note that everything I predicted about Brexit has now come true. Theresa May will not last till Christmas. No chance. So you're going to have a new government in power. My prediction is that she's going to dig in, and then she's going to be saying we need to have another referendum, and then she's going to get the people behind her to try and stop them from getting kicked out. Now remember, she's in a minority government, so it's quite tedious and strenuous. So is that the word, strenuous? Yeah, whatever. And it's not going to go down very easy at all. Before these people are finished, France, you know, the whole lot, if you haven't noticed what's going on in France, I've got a side thing I'm going to show you with France. It's quite interesting, because I had a conversation with my 24-year-old son about this yesterday, and it's kind of interesting because he surprised me by agreeing with everything that I said. And I said, well, you don't watch any of these shows? And he said, oh, no, I read the news. And he said, I realise what's happening, and it's all so apparent. And I said, but you never say anything, and you never do anything. And my mind automatically realised that all the people that we are discussing all this with all the time, and then just, you know, switch off, all know that this is going on, but they just rather ignore it. And like I said to my son, in the next, you're going to go through a hell of a winter in the Northern Hemisphere by the look of it this year. And food prices, petrol price, everything's going to rise. Now you might find this staggering, but there are now people in France who do have, by the way, a very good social system. If you go on dole and they look after you pretty well. Now don't forget, they've had 1 million people pour into the country, illegal immigrants, in the last year or so, and it's just broken the system. Sweden is the same, Austria is the same, Belgium is the same, and my theory is that we will not get out of this winter without mass unrest. And I mean huge. I just want to show you something about France. Sorry, before I do that, this is the news article. If you want to have a good laugh, watch the ABC article on this. The Brexit vote postponed, and they were literally laughing at her. It was so, if you were actually standing there at that box, it is demoralising. They were literally, everybody was literally laughing at her. And as I said, they are going to keep pressing on with this until one of them, I'm predicting her, says we need to have a second referendum. And then all hell's going to break loose. And I mean all hell's going to break loose. Because you can't have the Labour Party in power in Britain at this time, because they're just communist. So watch this space. Now, I don't usually give a plug to other people's shows, but these guys here, We Are Change, you need to watch you need to go to their site and watch these videos. Man, this guy's got balls of steel. There's a couple of guys from New York and one of them flew to France, and you have to seriously watch the videos. He goes down to these protest meetings, and you cannot believe the shit that they were doing to people. They're actually using stun grenades on protesters that were doing nothing, and you just physically won't believe what you're seeing. And as I said, this is only going to get worse. People are starving in France. They can't feed their families. They can't put fuel in their cars. They can't go anywhere. They can't do anything. They virtually can't even catch public transport anymore, folks. And, you know, we're on this side of the world just going, oh, everything's sweet. It's great. Life's fantastic. Still go to the beach. Still go fishing. But they are really suffering over there, folks, and they have been for a long time. I went to France when I was lived in England, and I left there thinking this place is going down the shit chute really bad. That's how bad it was, and that's when we were there. That's 10 plus years ago. I think it was about 12 years we were there, 12 years ago. And I said to my wife, not doing this ever again. No thanks. That was in Paris, by the way. We went everywhere else except France. We just avoided it like the plague. Why? Because they went to that liberal, oh, everyone's so great. Oh, you're so persecuted. Oh, come over. Yay. And then they took over the country, especially in Paris. It's bad. It's really bad. And people have had enough now. They said, this is enough. We can't do this shit anymore. You guys are killing us. So, look, there's going to be bloodshed no matter what happens. But like I said, watch the videos from these guys, especially the ones. This guy jumped on a plane, flew over there, and he was in the thick of it. And they're using cluster bombs. They're actually shooting rubber bullets at the journalists, hitting them in the head. People lost their arms, eyes, blew out their kneecaps. And it wasn't reported on any, of course it wasn't, on any mainstream media. You never heard of any of this. So what I mean, watch the videos. It makes you really fucking angry. And I mean really fucking angry. And I'm not even in France. I could have gone and got on a plane and gone over there, to be honest with you. It pissed me off that much. Now, obviously, you can beat a dog so many times, but that one time it bites back bad. And that's where you're going with this. How's this? The French police came on the TV and said, we won't be using tear gas anymore, blah, 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 blah. And, in what's the name of the protesters, we don't want to fuck people up, really. So people came without gas masks and stuff, and the first thing they do is gassed everybody with tear gas. And the guy, if you watch the video, the guy said even he had a mask on and everything else, and he said even with the mask, it was so thick that it was choking. So imagine what it was like. He says, imagine what it was like for the people who didn't have masks, but they stood their ground. And he said that's the most amazing thing. One of the other most amazing things is that they actually show them trying to burn down, which you didn't hear of. They tried to burn down a TV station. That was interesting. And their anger is directed at the TV station or the news agency because of the fact that they know they're lying. They're sick of the lies. They're just saying. They say that there's guys on there, speaking English in French accents, saying we're sick of the lies. We don't want these lies anymore. We're sick of it. Now, the other thing to remember is there was Toulon, Marseille. There was about 5 or 6 cities that kicked off. And they're still kicking off. They still haven't finished. But you won't hear about it on TV and that. This is actually a revolution, folks. And it's going to get a lot worse. And they will bite back. And they will start kicking people out of the country. Once this thing gets a mass movement of people, they will start evicting people out of Paris, these guys. and sending them on their way to the airport or wherever they're going to send them to, because they're pissed off. They really are. They've had a gutful. They've got when you've got nothing left to lose, you have to start fighting back, and that's where this has gotten to. So just think of these poor people. They can't feed their families anymore in France, in Paris. You know, the place you fly to, and you know it's all lovey-dovey and blah 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 blah. You know, they can't afford to go and get a cup of coffee. And this has been going on for years. And now it's, you know, this is the backlash. People are saying, fuck you guys, I've had enough. And people like Alex Jones were right. You know, you can only push people so far. And I'm warning you, I'm actually warning you that this is coming for us here in Australia. Because, you know, I'm doing this because I've had enough. This is my protest. You know, whether I end up making a movement to change this shit dire situation that we've got, maybe take it to the next level, who knows. It's kind of interesting because I went down to get some ice cream tonight, and I won't buy Peter's ice cream or Paul's anymore because apparently it's all made in China. It tastes like shit now. Can't eat it. And there was a woman across the road who was selling New Zealand ice cream. So I went and bought some of that. We got talking, you know, we're talking about this whole situation, you know, like where does this all go? We don't make anything anymore in Australia. We're all illiterate morons apparently. You know, the only people that make anything are tradies. Everyone else is a pen pusher or a bloody diplomat or a bloody lawyer, it would appear. We don't make cars anymore. We don't make anything. Nothing. It all comes from the shithole over there in the South China Sea, on top of the South China Sea, i.e. China. And I've actually gotten to the stage where I refuse to buy anything that comes from China because it's shit. Do you know they actually work on a 75% return rate and they still make a profit at 75% return? They know that they're going to get them back and they still make a profit. Now think about that. What are they paying the people over there? A bowl of rice a day? Like I said, folks, where's all this going? You know, this is my protest vote. Do we take it to the next level? It seems like we're going to have to in the end. Because we can't feed ourselves now. You can't even fill a car up anymore, folks. You can't drive. You know, in New Zealand, there's some places where the petrol's $2.50 or $2.75 a litre. They're now at the position of having to really think about driving to see parents and family members, etc., holidays. Can you imagine that? It's coming. You know, we're not far behind. We're only $1 behind here. Where? The question is, where is this going and what are we leaving our kids if we don't stand today? I can tell you where it will if we don't. You might as well bury your head up your ass, go and roll over out the backyard because that's about as good as it's going to get from here on in if you don't stand and make a fight. And then there's this. Folks, as they say, you can't make this shit up. This is the sort of shit that just pisses me off. Any idiot, and I mean any dumb-witted, bull-nosed moron would know that if you start transferring people from Manus Island, or whatever other, what's the other one? Who gives a shit, just as long as they're not in Australia, As soon as they start saying, oh, I'm sick and I want to come to Australia, and you just let them come over, the floodgates open. You can't let them do it. It's as simple as that. It might sound harsh, but do you know there's 600 Iranians on Manus Island? 650, I think it is. And 131 of those have been refused entry, dead flat. So why the fuck would we let the rest in? Because they won't be friendly to Australia when they get here, that's for fucking sure. Because they've been over there for 4 years or something. Now, you know, as I said, any bull-nosed moron would realise that you just can't do this shit. And can you believe, out of all the fucking issues we've got in this country at the moment, this is one of the most important, about whether we transport these dickheads from Manus Island, who we never wanted anyway, we never asked for them to come here. They were illegal anyway. They're illegal. Don't you dickheads get it? They're illegal. We don't want them here. Tell them to piss off back to Iran. If they want to come here, tell them to do it the right way, like everyone else does. And isn't it a bit of a funny coincidence that they're all men? Go back to your country if you're that shit scared of everything, or, you know, if you want to fight for your country, if you're not happy with your country, have the balls to stand up in your own country. I'd rather die. Honestly, I'd rather fucking die than turn tail with my tail up my ass and piss off to some other country and start saying, oh, you know, everything's really crap in Iran. Yeah, it is, because you fucking left and you didn't have the balls to stand up and fight, you gutless prat. That's the nuts of this story, folks. I'm sorry, and I don't give a fuck if they're gay, or pseudo-gay, or whatever the fuck they are. Stand up and fight. Have the balls to stand up, take action. I'd rather die in my own country. As a martyr, if you want, I don't give a shit. But I'd rather stand here in Australia knowing I was right to stand up for what I believed in than to just turn dog and go. What is fucking wrong with you people? Life's not a dress rehearsal, folks. People forget that. It's not a dress rehearsal. This is the real deal. The real deal. We're here to make a difference, and you're here to make a difference yourself. If you can't understand that, then there's something fucking wrong with you. I'm sorry for swearing so much, but it's just got under my goat. Peter Dutton, if you ever get to watch this video in the next couple of days, what the fuck are you doing, mate? Just say no. Say what I've said. Scott Morrison, if you're watching, tell him the truth. Go back to your country and fight for your country. Stop pissing off to everyone else's country, trying to turn it into a second-rate shithole like your own country. How about you stay in your own country and try and turn it around into a third, you know, instead of a third world country, into a moderate country. Just pisses me off. I will say one more thing here. Scott Morrison, or any of you politicians, have the balls to say what I just said, and you will fucking ream in with votes. Because people, the majority of people in this country believe what I just said. Especially the men. Pauline Hanson, Jackie Lambie, Scott Morrison. If you want to get votes, speak the fucking truth. Because we're sick of your fucking lies. Start telling people the truth. No, we're not going to let them here. We're going to send them back to Iran so they can fight for their own country. Fight for their rights in their own country. When the Chinese come here, which they eventually will, I'm going to be one of the first people standing up there waiting for them to get here. Not to mention the fact that they're already here, and when they do kick off, it'll be in the cities and stuff anyway, and we'll have to kick the shit out of them there. Because a lot of them, there is a lot of spies here, folks. Don't you worry about it. Have you ever noticed how many young middle-aged men, Chinese men, there are here now in Australia? Think about it. Yeah, and I know a lot of them are okay. I'm just saying, not all of them are, folks. That's a fact. But I ain't going to let them take over my country. I'd rather fucking die in this country, fighting for it, and fighting for my kids' future. And my kids are half Chinese, by the way, than to let them come here and turn it into the world's biggest shithole that they've turned their country into. Ain't going to happen. What's that saying? You can prize the hot gun out of my cold, frigid fingers. That's where it's going. And my speech of the day is over, folks. Righto, verse of the day. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son. And you will call him Emmanuel. And as always, folks, we'll finish with the Lord's Prayer. And I'll say this for all my swearing in this video, folks. I apologise. But sometimes you just have to get the point across, you know what I mean? And it's interesting because I watched a video the other day. Do you all remember what this prayer used to be to us? Does anyone remember? Do you remember what this prayer... I'm starting to understand why I say this all the time. Do you actually remember what this prayer used to mean to us? It wasn't anything bad. It was all good. Do you remember? It was wholesome. It made you feel good. It made you feel like everything was right with the world. And I probably guess that's why I say this prayer, because it's a gathering prayer. I watched Melania Trump say this prayer at a rally the other day, and just the response from the crowd when she said this prayer was just amazing, you know. And I'm starting to understand it's a gathering prayer, folks. It's not a prayer for religion. It's not a prayer for any of that. It's a prayer to God, from you to God, as a gathering. I hope that makes sense. So let's say it together. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. All right, folks. I've probably said too much. We'll leave it there. Keep prepping. Prep out.